I want to welcome you first of all to the show. It's been a while since we chatted, and it's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
We're going to talk about the movie Arkansas, but was directing something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, since I was about 12 years old, I've wanted to be a director. And I went to college and, studied film production, went to film school, Loyola Marymount. And my thesis film there was this show called Clark and Michael, me and Michael Cera, this web series. And, we wrote those and I directed and edited those. And I've always wanted to be a director. I really thought that was what my kind of career would be. But Clark and Michael kind of gave me more of an acting career than a directing career. Which is, a luxury problem. But
Yeah.
I've been trying to make this movie for about 10 years, and I've directed, I've kind of directed a lot of shit nobody's seen, frankly, like, whether it was Clark and Michael or I did, I've done shorts and a pilot and Funny or Die videos and a lot of stuff nobody's seen over the years, but I've always been writing and directing and banging my head against the wall trying to get this made for a while.
And 10 years, following this road for Arkansas. I mean, when did you discover the book?
About 10 years ago. I mean, that was when the book was published, and I read it, and I immediately, within the next day was trying to get the rights to it.
Because you've been through the acting thing, and you're very good at acting too, I'm going to say. Does it make you a better director to understand the actor's kind of point of view? I
think it has to. I mean, Peter Bogdanovich always says that too, and I agree with that. I just there's no way there's no way it doesn't. Just having an understanding of what the actors are going through, just knowing how to talk to them, how to help them, just because you know the predicament they're in.
And in Arkansas, you're working with two of my favorite, guys in the world. One is John Malkovich, and the other is Vince Vaughn, both turning in some great performances. Is a little bit, I don't know, do you feel a little trepidatious in directing guys of that caliber?
Initially I was a little intimidated by Malkovich for sure, just because he's such a presence and I was such a fan and didn't know him at all. Just watched him my whole life basically from afar, and he's like our greatest living actor. Mm-hmm. So I was a little intimidated at first, but he's the nicest, funniest guy, and I mean I don't know, I can't rave enough about John Malkovich. I was telling somebody yesterday, I was talking to another actor friend of mine who had done a movie with Malkovich, and I said I would just look over and notice that he would be like placing rubber mats over wires and stuff. like I was like, he's just the best. But I mean, to your point, those two guys don't need a whole lot of directing either, so they make your life really easy. I mean, I've said this, multiple times during interviews, but I couldn't have made the movie unless I would have had a bunch of big top level, great actor movie stars, because it made it possible for us to move as fast as we did, because we were a low budget indie, and we couldn't have physically shot everything if you wouldn't have had guys that I could say 3 words to and they know exactly what I mean and they nail it on take 2.
Yeah, there is an economy when it comes to an actor's shorthand with another actor.
Very much so. And like I said, I might have given John 2 or 3 notes the entire movie. Like, I mean, those guys are both so good, and Liam and Vivica and Michael Kenneth and everybody. I mean, they make me look good, and they didn't require a whole lot of help.
Well, I mean, it also goes to you as a director to allow an actor to, put his spin on things. I mean, you have to have trust.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's one thing that I was really conscious of, that I knew I wanted to do, because I had been so frustrated. I've done a ton of television, like over the course of my life at this point. It's got to be like hundreds of hours of television. And I would get so frustrated when like wardrobe people or hair and makeup people or producers or anybody would try to like force me to do something that I just was like, either didn't think was a good idea or just didn't matter. Like if an actor wants to wear a certain pair of shoes, like who gives a shit? Let him wear whatever shoes he wants, unless it's, the Wizard of Oz and the shoes are a plot point that you're filming. But just like small stuff like that. So yeah, whenever anybody would be like, hey, can I try something? Hey, I had an idea. This is something that helps. This is a character idea I have. I'm like, yes, like, let's try it. Let's go with it, because all that does is just engender trust and like excitement and then fun. It's fun for the actors. And I knew that as somebody that had been acting a pretty long time at this point. So yeah, I did try to encourage that. And I think to your point, it comes across in the movie. You can really tell that everybody's having fun and like going for it.
Had you known Liam before this?
No, not at all. And Liam's the reason there's a movie. He was the first person I asked. He was the first person that signed on. I couldn't believe it. Me and him have both told this story. When he agreed to do it, the day we first met, he said that I looked so surprised. He was afraid he'd made a big mistake. and that's the truth. Liam's the reason we have financing. Liam's the reason we got the rest of the cast.
In the first scenes that you have with Liam, there is this feeling that I got that you guys were old friends, and kudos to that, because that came across.
We've become friends. We're good friends now. And it was funny because the first scene, literally the first scene was the scene where he pulls up in the car and we meet. So, not that we shot the movie anything in close to sequential order, but we started the movie with that, and the last thing we shot was when I say goodbye to him at the end. So it was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those weird kind of cosmic things. But yeah, we became good friends, and we are friends now. And because he's a really funny guy in real life, so me and him get along really well. And he's being Australians, like, it's kind of like being Southern. Like, we both just want to like drink beer and laugh, and there's like a lot of commonality there culturally.
In your history as a young actor on sets, I mean, that's got to be quite an education. I know you went to college for it all, but there's nothing beats being there and being part of a crew and a set.
Absolutely. I mean, even that when I went to film school, and the pilot for Clark and Michael was my thesis film, but then we went on to make the series that next, I don't remember if it was summer, fall, whatever it was like 15 years ago. But I always said that was grad school. Like, I went to film school, but actually making the show was, like you learn way more by doing and being on set than you do by talking about theory and watching movies. And very much so, like, again, making this movie, as soon as you finish it, and I think a lot of first-time directors feel this way, you just kind of are like, God, I wish I could go make the movie now. Like, now that I know how to do it.
Mel Brooks one time in an interview told me, he said, the hardest part about making a movie is making the movie.
Yeah, that's true. No, actually, I don't agree with that. The hardest part is because making the movie was fun. The hardest part that about killed me was trying to raise the money and schedule it and get the thing together. That was brutal. Because it's just this chicken and egg thing of like, you can't get financing unless you got actors, and you can't get actors unless you've already got financing. So it's just crazy. It's a miracle anything. It's a miracle any indie film ever gets made.
Yeah, but you've kind of with this film broken through a little bit. I mean, first of all, I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite films of the year.
Oh, thank you.
Bar none. And the other thing is that this film speaks to me on a couple of different levels. I mean, it is a buddy picture. It's a crime film. It's got these wonderful characters that they don't leave you when the movie ends.
That's nice to hear. It's it's a character piece. It's the funny thing is, I kind of thought I was making a Western. Like, to me, the thing that we kept referencing was Once Upon a Time in the West. And to me, like, in the way, we shot it with these big, beautiful anamorphic lenses, and the score, we're trying to do like a Morricone score, basically. And even structurally and thematically with the relationship with the two guys and the girl, it reminded me a lot of Once Upon a Time in the West. But it's still, and part of my thought process behind attacking the movie that way was just to give it a sense of scope, because it's really just a bunch of people talking. It's not a history of crime in the South or anything. It's just these 4 or 5 people you're following. But it's a character piece. I'm glad you like it. I haven't got to watch it with an audience, so I think I get as much out of these interviews as probably you do, just because for me, I'm just curious to hear what people think about it.
I would volunteer to host a watch party with you, because this needs to be seen. And yeah, I think people are going to compare it to like a Quentin Tarantino experience, but it isn't.
That's what the bulk of all the reviews so far. A lot of them say Coen Brothers. It's like a Coen Brothers homage, and like I love the Coen Brothers, but if I'm being honest, for me, the people that I steal the most from are Robert Altman and Sergio Leone.
And speaking to that, there was a movie out a couple of years ago called the Brothers Sisters, and it's a wonderful Western. And it has this kind of feel to it, where you're following 2 characters, and everything that they do, good and bad, they're fighting every step of the way. I mean, not them fighting physically, but they're fighting to get from point A to point B.
Have you ever seen Altman's film Thieves Like Us?
Oh, yeah.
That was a big movie for me in the back of my head with this. It just kind of like laconic, languid pacing, and the way I shot it. Like Thieves Like Us is a movie I referenced a lot.
And your use of color and shadow, and again, your panoramic type shots. The most beautiful scenes are and I don't want to give anything away, but you have these lovely shots of lakes where people are digging holes, but
yeah.
it's just so gorgeously done.
Yeah, that's Steven Meisler, our cinematographer. The other funny thing is we barely used any lights. Like, I think the only stuff some of the nighttime stuff, you have to put one of the big balls up in the sky just so you can see anything at all. But we shot the movie almost entirely with natural light.
Wow.
And that's just a tribute to how good Meisler is. He shot the show Godless for Netflix, which I thought was one of the best looking things I'd ever seen.
You had a great crew, and we felt that. I think the gift shop was a character in this movie as well. Yeah. It's so, you see these places off the side of the road everywhere in the South, and this just spoke to me on that level too, is wow, there's stuff happening here that we don't know about.
Yeah, that's you get a lot of bang for your buck production value wise just by filming on location in the actual South. I remember at various points when I was trying to raise the money, there were people like, well, we'll do it, but you got to shoot in Vancouver. And I'm like, it won't look right. Like, it won't make any sense. Like, there was, one time everybody wants to shoot everything in New Mexico now. And I'm like, New Mexico is great, but it doesn't look like anything except New Mexico. Like, we're not going to trick anybody into thinking we're in the Southeast,
Well, it's true. I mean, you know the kind of textures you're going for when you're filming something like this, and you're from that area, and nobody knows better than you. This has to have your voice.
Yeah, I'm from Hot Springs, Arkansas, where a big chunk of the movie takes place. Yeah.
Again, going back to your statement about the wardrobe, people throwing this in and that, I mean, there's always somebody that wants you to film somewhere.
Yeah.
You might as well put it on the moon for all the good that it does. Tell me a little bit about your character, though. I noticed he's laden with jewelry. Is there anything specific about that?
Yeah, the rings I wore were actually my grandfather's. One was his high school class ring, and one was his. I don't have them on now because I'm just at home all the time, like everybody else. But I started wearing those after he passed, and the big horseshoe diamond one was his ring. It's still in the family it's been family for like 5 generations, a cattle ranch, and then the big giant pinky ring that's the steer with the ruby horns. His last name was Horn, and I made that my character's last name. So it was all kind of a, just personal for me, backstory for me, like subtextual stuff to get me in character. And then even in the book, my character had this thing where he started stealing jewelry in college, and that's sort of how he got kind of going off the track a little bit. So a lot of that stuff. I mean, the wardrobe and the costumes and that was really just to help me kind of get into character, because you have to compartmentalize a lot when you're directing and acting and be able to kind of switch over quickly. So that was a way I found kind of a shorthand into it, is like, all right, when I put all this guy's stuff on, when I put all the bracelets on and the jewelry on and the different glasses and put my hair up, it's like, okay, now I feel like this guy, like, because I can look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, I look like that guy. Like, I'm that guy now. I look like him. And this, like, describing acting and the process of acting makes you sound like a sociopath. So like, I'm kind of hesitant to talk about, I don't talk about acting much. Cause it's just, it's so easy to sound dumb. Like you're one of the characters in Tropic Thunder too. Like, but it's a weird job, it's a very, it's everybody's got a different way into it usually too. But for me, the jewelry and the bracelets and the costume was a big part of, the acting.
All that informs your character, but you as the actor have to inform your character most.
Well, it's like, I mean, it's like in real life how, those like clothes make the man, or dress for the job you want. Like what you're wearing changes your mood. And that's totally true if you're playing a character. I mean, it's just night and day.
What advice do you have for, young actors or actresses that want to hop from, doing an acting job into producing and directing? What advice do you have for them?
I mean, I get asked this. I mean, the truth is no two people have the same journey to making it in this business. It's like trying to become a NASA astronaut or professional athlete. Like, the odds of making it, because there's no way to just like work your way up. It's not like a corporate job where there's like, you're rewarded for being good and you get promoted. Like, so much of it is just hand to God. And the only thing I could ever come up with to tell anybody is the only thing that worked for me, which is just put your money where your mouth is and make something. Like Clark and Michael, the thing that got me started as an adult, I made the pilot for $800. Like, that's a pretty low barrier of entry now with like, equipment has never been cheaper. It's never been cheaper to make something look really, really nice.
Soderbergh's shooting on his phone now, so.
Yeah, I kind of wish he just used cameras, because he's like my favorite, living director. But some of the iPhone stuff, like, I get what he's doing. I think it's really cool, and it does an interesting thing contextually how you watch it. But like, I loved High Flying Bird, the last basketball one that he shot on iPhone. I love that movie, but some of those shots are just ugly, man. Like, there's like weird vertical lines, and I don't know.
I could never
I appreciate that he's doing it, but
I could never see Hitchcock shooting on a phone for some reason. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, that may be the world we're in now. I mean, everybody's going to see this. I mean, I shot this movie with the intent of how it would look in a theater, but the reality is everybody's going to see it on VOD now because of the coronavirus, and that may be for the case for a while. It'll be interesting to see if that changes the way people think about how they're composing shots and movies.
I think actors will shoot their scenes on their own phone and turn in the video every day, and some editor will put it all together.
That sounds just awful. I hope you're wrong.
Well, it does sound awful, but so did Sharknado. And look at that. Now we have Murder Hornets coming out, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh.
That movie.
That's too scary.
But again, this movie is incredible. It should not be missed. It is. I think we're getting back to kind of a detailed, as you say, character study, because that's what drives this film is these two guys, and you really do have the right elements in this movie. Again, it is one of my favorite films of the year, Clark.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And listen, take care, be safe, wash your hands after this interview, because you never know. And hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the next one. And hopefully it won't take as long this time.
Are you working on something next?
I've got 3 scripts ready to go. Who knows when we can shoot anything.
Good luck. I don't think you're going to have problems getting money now, because you are America's best director at this moment.
I'll take it.
You're welcome.